Have you ever started to speak Japanese only to have your thoughts get stuck in an English traffic jam? You know the words, but arranging them feels like solving a puzzle with missing instructions. This mental translation is the single biggest bottleneck for learners, creating slow, unnatural speech and constant frustration. But what if that bottleneck wasn't inevitable? What if Japanese sentence structure followed a predictable, almost mathematical formula that you could learn and apply starting today? This is not about memorizing endless rules or developing a mysterious Japanese brain. It is about understanding one core principle. A principle so consistent that once you see it, you can't unsee it. We call it the zoom-in formula. To understand this formula, we first need to see how English works. Think of an English sentence as a camera that starts with a close-up and then zooms out to show the wider context. I watched YouTube videos at home yesterday. The sentence begins with the subject, the I, immediately followed by the core action, watched. The details, what you watched, where and when, arrive afterward, expanding the scene. This is the zoom-out approach. You state the main point first and then add the surrounding information. Japanese operates in the exact opposite direction. It is a zoom-in approach. The camera starts wide, establishing the time and place, and then steadily focuses inward until it lands on the most critical element, the verb. Let's rebuild that same sentence, but this time following the Japanese formula. Yesterday, at home, YouTube videos watched. In natural Japanese, this becomes kino, i.e. da, YouTube doga o mimashita. The structure is a predictable march from the general to the specific, always culminating in the verb. This is the foundational blueprint. We can break this blueprint down into a simple four-part template. Think of it as TPOV, time, place, object, verb. This is the logical sequence that native speakers use instinctively. It is not random, it is a directional flow. Let's codify this into a working formula. The standard neutral sentence structure in Japanese follows this sequence: time, then place, then the object, and finally the verb. This order is so reliable it can be visualized as a simple map. Information enters the sentence through the time slot, moves to the place, then to the object, and is always completed by the verb. This TPOV map is your key to building sentences from the ground up. This zoom-in principle doesn't just apply to the main sentence frame. It operates at a micro level within the sentence itself. Consider how we describe things. In English, you say, a beautiful person. The main noun person comes first, followed by the description. But in Japanese, the modifier always comes first. You set the descriptive context before revealing the item itself, kirie na hito. The adjective kirie na modifies the noun ito, and it must precede it. The zoom goes from the description to the thing being described. This becomes even more powerful with complex phrases. Take the sentence, the sushi I ate at the restaurant I went to yesterday was delicious. This seems complex, but it is just the zoom-in formula applied recursively. The phrase kino ita resutiren means the restaurant I went to yesterday. Notice the internal order. The time kino comes before the verb ita, which then modifies the noun resutiren. This entire clause then acts as a modifier for the location, which in turn modifies the action to beta, which finally modifies the main noun osushi. The entire lengthy description kino ita resutiren data beta all stacks up before itu eta all stacks up before esutiren data beta all stacks up before iter all stacks up before esutiren data beta. The Japanese brain builds nested boxes where each smaller box is placed inside a larger one, always moving toward the central point. The same rule governs adverbs. They always precede the verb or adjective they modify. Itsumo totemo ukuri aruku, to always walk very slowly. Here itsumo modifies the entire phrase totemo ukuri aruku, and within that, totomo modifies ukuri, and that entire adverbial phrase modifies the verb aruku. The zoom is relentless from the broadest modifier to the most specific action. This logical wide-to-narrow pattern extends beyond sentence grammar into how factual information is structured. Look at dates. In English, you say July 20th, 2024. The order is month, day, year. But in Japanese, you start with the largest unit and move to the smallest, 2024 Nen 7 Gatsu 20 Nishi. The year comes first, then the month, then the day. If you add the time, it follows the date. It is a perfect example of the zoom-in formula applied to real-world data. You establish the year, then the month, then the day, then the hour and minute. It is systematic and consistent. The same is true for addresses. The system flows from the largest administrative unit to the most specific. A Japanese address begins with the postal code, then the prefecture, the city, the district, and finally the building number. The structure is never inverted. It is a universal principle of moving from the general context to the specific detail. A common question arises: what about the flexibility provided by particles? It is true that particles like wa, ga, and o provide grammatical markers, allowing for some stylistic variation to emphasize certain elements. However, it is crucial to understand that this flexibility exists within a framework. The zoom-in order is the default, the most natural, and the most frequently used structure. Thinking of it as a flexible system can be a trap for learners. It is better to master the standard TPOV map first. The natural flow, the one that sounds most fluent and effortless, is the zoom-in. Now let's apply this formula. Imagine a simple scenario. You open a door and are surprised to see it is raining. Your goal is to construct a sentence in Japanese describing your surprise. Activate the zoom-in formula. Start with the time, kino. Then establish the context. When I opened the door, it was raining. Then state the result: I was surprised. A natural sentence would be kino doa o akitara ame ga fatiata node odorokimashita. You begin with the broadest condition and zoom in to the final reaction. This systematic approach transforms your comprehension as well. When you listen to Japanese, you can now anticipate the sentence's trajectory. You know the verb is coming at the end, so you listen for it, assembling the meaning as the context is laid out, piece by piece. You are no longer waiting for an English equivalent. You are following a predictable blueprint to understanding. To solidify this, we will now walk through a complete sentence construction from start to finish, using only the zoom-in formula as our guide. We will move slot by slot through the TPOV map, demonstrating how to translate a thought from English into a correct Japanese structure without direct word-for-word translation. This is the practical application of moving from theory to fluent production. The power of this system is that it applies even when the sentence appears more complex. Consider a sentence with a reason clause. My grandmother always walks very slowly because her legs are weak. In English, you might state the main action first: my grandmother walks. In Japanese, you establish the reason first, then state the action. Soba wa ashi ga warui node, itsumo totemo yukuri arukimasu. The entire segment ashi ga warui node sets the causal context for everything that follows. The zoom-in formula handles complexity by ensuring all background information is presented before the primary statement. Let's construct another example from the ground up. Suppose the core action is, I couldn't go shopping. The English zoom-out mind might state that immediately. The Japanese zoom-in mind first asks, what is the context? The time, kino. The reason, aim data node. Then the main point, kaimano ni ikamasen deshita. But to sound truly natural, we apply the formula to the entire thought. We start with the time, then the reason, and finally the core action that was prevented. Kino, aim data node, kaimano ni ikamasen deshita. The structure remains unwavering, from the general conditions to the specific outcome. This method also clarifies one of the most confusing aspects for learners: when to include the subject. In the zoom-in framework, who is often part of the established context and can be omitted. In the sentence, kino ita restaurant de tabeta o sushi wa oishikata, there is no watashi because it is clear from the conversation. The formula prioritizes informational efficiency, including only what is necessary to complete the logical zoom. This is why you so often hear sentences without I or you. The speaker and listener are the wide-angle shot. The sentence zooms in from there. Now let's test the formula's limits with a sentence that has multiple objects or locations. The principle holds by processing information in chunks, with each chunk following the zoom-in rule before being placed into the larger sentence frame. It is a recursive process where each modifier is itself a mini zoom-in structure. This layered approach is what allows the language to express complex, nuanced ideas with grammatical elegance and clarity. You have now seen the zoom-in formula in action, from a simple statement to a more complex expression. The final step is to internalize this map so you can use it spontaneously. To aid in this, we have created a simple, one-page visual guide that summarizes the TPOV slots and the rules for modifiers. This downloadable cheat sheet is available for free, linked in the description below. It provides a quick reference blueprint you can use during your study sessions. The goal is to rewire your approach from translation to assembly. You are no longer converting an English sentence word by word. You are taking a thought and then systematically slotting it into the Japanese framework, moving from time to verb. This eliminates the hesitation and the mental gymnastics that slow you down. To recap the key insights, Japanese sentence structure is not a collection of random rules but a single consistent formula. It is the zoom-in principle, moving from broad context to specific detail. This is visualized as the TPOV map: time, place, object, verb. This principle applies at both the macro sentence level and the micro modifier level. It even governs the structure of factual information like dates and addresses. Mastering this directional flow is the fastest path to building sentences that sound natural and fluent. If this systematic breakdown has helped you see Japanese grammar in a new light, please let us know by liking this video. It helps us understand what content is most useful for you. For more videos that decode language learning into clear, actionable systems, subscribe to the channel. If you know someone else struggling with the same translation bottleneck, please recommend this video to them. For those seeking to take the next step and refine not just the order of your words, but their sound, the pronunciation, pitch, and rhythm that make your Japanese truly authentic, we have a comprehensive course available. This subscription-based program breaks down the phonetics of the language with the same structured, step-by-step approach. Thank you for watching.